I'm Hannah Mikell, Agronomy Agent with Clemson Extension. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with Mallory Maher. Now Mallory, you have so many responsibilities with Clemson, right? You are on the Natural Resources team, an associate for them, and then you are the Master Naturalist Coordinator for the state.
Yes, so yep, like Hannah said, I am on the Natural Resources Program team for Clemson Extension.
Cool, yeah.
I've been working for Extension now for 9 years. And yeah, I also have the pleasure of coordinating the South Carolina Master Naturalist Program statewide. So with that job, it's very fun. Every day is a little bit different, and I get to meet a lot of great people across the state.
Yeah, you get to travel a good bit.
Yes.
So one of kind of your brainchild then was up here at where we're at today, actually, the South Carolina Botanical Garden in Clemson. So this was formerly just kind of an unused space. You wanted to educate some folks that have backyards similar to this, small spaces, maybe a little bit larger, quarter acre or less even.
Yeah, we're at the South Carolina Botanical Garden. We're right next to the Visitor Center. And the Botanical Gardens is a hidden gem of Clemson. If you've never been here, I highly encourage you to come out to Botanical Gardens. I was talking to the director here, Martin Hamilton, about some other programs that we had with Clemson Extension, and I've always wanted to create some sort of online course or some sort of course that talks about backyard wildlife habitat, specifically geared towards homeowners and small landowners. Like I said, small acreage or a townhome.
Well, girl, I need all the help I can get. So sign me up. The course is online. It's on Clemson Online.
Yes. So the course is free, and it's on Clemson Online, and they are great partners here. They're great resources. We have a lot of Clemson Online programs that we partner with would develop about all kinds of topics from water to like beginning farming. But now we have one for backyard wildlife. And so the course is very simple. It only has 5 modules and it's very short. But it basically gives you all the tools that you need to provide for an animal's basic needs. So food, shelter, water, and space, and how do you bring all those elements together into your backyard?
Oh, that's so much, Mallory.
The coolest thing I think partially in the video is we were able to install this garden, and we had drone footage from start to finish.
Cool.
And so you see us all out here laying out the plants, because that's not really my background. Because my background's in wildlife, and so I can tell you what the plants and what eats the plants, but learning how to space the plants and with how far they grow and how big they grow, that's really where the South Carolina Botanical Gardens and Martin's team kind of came in to help me with that and taught me a lot of things too. So we give people like proper pruning techniques and making sure you take a soil sample.
So if people aren't going to go online and take the course, there's still all those resources in some form or fashion on like HGIC, your local extension agents, right?
Yes. So
you have all these field guides you've told me about.
Exactly. There's a lot of resources out there, but the trouble is sometimes there's so many resources out there. Where do you go to? And like, I don't know if this one's valid or something like that. So
it's so much.
Yeah, right. And so part of the course was I wanted to have each module has resources affiliated to. So you you watch the recording, which is maybe about 10 minutes for a module. And then afterwards, there's a whole bunch of fact sheets that you could click on, or additional books or references that you can then follow. Really, when it comes to providing for habitat in your backyard, really the big thing you want to do is assess what you currently have and what is lacking. So definitely go out into your backyard and preserve the resources that you want to keep. So if you have an oak tree that is producing great acorns every single year, shade, leave that oak tree. But if you notice you have a great pollinator plants, like maybe you have some coneflowers that are great. So you want to make sure that you keep that. So after you assess that, you notice after doing all that, I'm like, I don't really have a water source for wildlife. I know I live in an area that's kind of dry. What can I do? Well, maybe as simple as installing a bird bath, and there you go. Now you have water for wildlife. But the big thing with this is just kind of making sure that you just kind of properly go through and also coming up with realistic goals. I think everyone wants a backyard oasis for wildlife. I think that is the dream. But time and patience, that kind of thing. But really come up with goals, like maybe something as simple as I'm going to plant 5 more native plants this year. And that's the goal to have. And then the next year you can go back and assess and like, I'm going to add a water feature this year. So keeping them very small and manageable, and soon enough over the years, you're going to have that have all those elements come together. So the great thing about native plants is the fact that they are adapted to our area. They are drought resistant, disease resistant. Wildlife has co-evolved with them over time. So in the long run, you're going to spend less money on them because you're not going to have to replace them as often, because you're not going to have to do all that maintenance for them too. So Best case scenario, we definitely encourage you to plant native plants when it
Gotcha.
comes to wildlife, but we also understand that there are plants out there that you can't just rip out everything because you might not have the money or something like that.
Right.
But as long as making sure the plants that you have are not invasive, that is key. And then over time, you can start working to replace those. But there are some non-native plants that do provide value for wildlife as long as they're not invasive.
Hey, even in my backyard, all these trees and shrubs that have grown up on the fence rows, like we have about a 1/4 acre lot in the town of Sumter, and the squirrels will use the canopy to like navigate through from one yard to another. And then we have like a creek that runs down below our house. It's several blocks down, but there's been like little ducks that have come up.
Oh, that's great. Yeah,
I know.
And so like I live near downtown Greenville, and we've had turkeys in our backyard. We've had deer, and it's all about like using kind of what's around you and really kind of adding connectivity to other people's habitats, or maybe there's an area of woods that's a kind of preserved area. Well, how can I bridge that gap? So animals don't like to be out in the open. They want to be able to hide in certain plants and that kind of thing. They want cover.
That's right.
So being able to shrink those areas in between large patches of habitat can go a long way. And that's like where you can cooperate with your neighbors and work together with them to kind of build like a backyard habitat. And the other thing is wildlife move. So they might not spend their entire lives in your backyard. They may only spend parts of their lives in your backyard, and they only spend a small period in there. But they're using, if you can figure out a way that they can use your backyard for some purpose, that's where it helps. So we have a flock of cedar waxwing birds that always migrate through our yard.
Cool.
It's every February, right around Valentine's Day. They come and they basically eat every single berry off our holly tree. But that holly tree is there, and they know it's there, and so they come back year after year after year. So that's providing a stopping ground for species that are not here all the time. So you can easily add plants like certain like beautyberry or hollies, native plants like that.
I see that a lot in the understories where I hunt. We're just basically taking all those wonderful plants they already love and condensing it, right? And I love the idea of not having to mow my grass all the time.
Yes, definitely that. And like wildlife like things messy. So resist the urge to clean up the yard. Resist the urge. If you can't dedicate your entire yard to wildlife habitat, maybe just leave a certain area for it instead. So leave the leaves over on like your left half of the yard, and then the right, you can kind of go follow the HOA guidelines and fix that up. So there's ways that you can kind of work, and it's like slowly over time you're helping those species.
I know, I hear the songbirds now. It's so beautiful, and all the little buzzing and critters that are wandering around us. So you and I were talking a little bit as you navigated through the garden and shared with me, when all this stuff stops flowering and it kind of goes dormant, right? There are still needs that the homeowner doesn't need to come and whack everything down and start over from scratch.
Exactly.
Tell me why that's important.
Yeah, so a lot of our like native bees, they will actually nest in the stems of plants like coneflowers and black-eyed Susans.
Okay, say it again. So the bees will nest. They're not going to be woodworking in my house.
So a lot of times when people think of bees, they think of honeybees, and honeybees will nest in a colony. But a lot of our native species are solitary nesters. So some might nest underground, but there's a lot that nest in small cavities. So if you ever seen like a mason bee house or a native bee house, all that is just kind of taking up the place of an actual natural occurring cavity. So a stem of a small plant, and like there's even like leafcutter bees that will cut out little holes in leaves, and they will line their the stems of it.
Like roll them up.
Yeah,
and then,
it's so cool. So I definitely, if you ever see some little holes in the ground, definitely take the time and look and peek in there, because it's really neat to see them. They're amazing animals. But even like other things like songbirds, like you hear flying all around us.
It's beautiful.
Right now, they're hanging out here because there's a lot of bugs flying around us, and they're eating some bugs, and they're getting some good protein. But the things like behind us, like our coneflowers back there, when those go to seed, you have golden finch or American finches and those kind of things that are going to come by, and they're going to eat the seeds out of this. A lot of our great pollinator plants. There's a lot of seed eaters.
So this has been so much fun. If they want to learn more about their flowers or their plants, or maybe identify some stuff, where do we go to learn that?
So we have a lot of great resources. So Clemson Extension partnered with the Native Plant Society, and we have a native plant database where you can put all this information in, and you can figure out what native plants should you grow in your certain area. But we also have our Home and Garden Information Center, which is a great resource. I love them. I use them all the time. I use just like own personal things. But they're great resources. Your local extension offices. There's so many resources out there. There's a lot more nurseries that provide native plants.
Okay.
So there's a lot of things for
Cool,
people to know and become familiar with the plants that grow in South Carolina.
I love it. This is such a beautiful space, and I'm so glad you had the idea to host us out here. We so appreciate it. Thank you.
Because I'm thankful for great partnerships like the Botanical Gardens and Dr. Martin Hamilton and his program team here.
Okay,
They do great work, of all the volunteers that help maintain our garden, because we don't always have this area. It's a demonstration area that gets like over 300,000 people, and what better way to expose them to something that looks like this. So I'm thankful for them and being able to work with them.
Yeah, we'll have to come up sometime when we're in the area.
Yes, absolutely. If you're ever in a football game, I love walking here. Definitely around like sunset's always a great time, or early morning when the birds are out.
That's
I actually got
nice.
engaged at the Botanical Garden.
We should have led with that. What in the world?
Yeah, so it's just a whole lot of, you can do all kinds of things at Botanical Gardens.
Okay, that's cool. Well, thank you so much, Mallory. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.